to just believe me. Even if the words don't come out, they're here inside my head, stuck inside my mouth.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to DPL Season 2, Week 4. I am Rook, and I'm joined by the lovely Red, as he is shooting his Tommy gun in my general direction. For you today, we've got SPG versus Flogel, and, well, it's going to be my first match here, and I'm excited to see how it goes down.
Yeah, and it should be a really good match to watch. This is the 6th and 7th rated team, so they're right on top of each other on the scoreboards. We have Team Flogels from the EU, super aggressive in all their play. They are insane on attack, and their defense it's just unmatched in a lot of ways. It is some of the most aggressive play on defense I think I see from any of the teams in the DPL. As SPG, like a lot of the other teams, they have a really, really strong defense that might even be better than Flogels in a lot of cases, but they play a more standard defense, which is a fallback defense, where you have your people sitting in the rooms and you fall back into bomb room. Flogels, if you stop moving and you're attacking against Flogels, they will push you, they will flank you, and they will do damage. You have to be watching your flank constantly against them. You do not want to them. SPG, they can make really good use of choke points, but you're probably not going to see as many flanks coming off of them. They tend to play more safe and passively on defense. However, their attack can also be very methodical. SPG is a highly planning-based team. They take great pride in coming up with good plans and working together, coordinating. I remember one of the last matches we saw the other week. They had a good split where there was an airlock on one map and they were pushing through a choke, and they were able to time the push through the airlock and the choke at the same time. They came in and were just able to completely wipe the bomb room. It was a very impressive play, and I think it just goes to show just how methodical SPG really can be when it comes down to their planning and teamwork. Again, I'm expecting a really good match. We have teams whose overall win rates are about a % difference on the stat sheet. And again, we're seeing them in 6th and 7th place. The last few matches they played were against the top teams, so it's not surprising to see them so low. I think that this match is really going to determine who is going to be a top team and who is going to remain in the bottom half of the standings.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I'm so darn excited as well, because not only do we have these teams which very close, you've kind of got that mismatch in terms of styles. You're mentioning the kind of idea of this pressure-based gameplay coming out from Flogel, where they're constantly pushing you for an answer to their questions, whereas you actually have, on the other side, SPG playing this much more answer and methodical-based kind of strategy where, you know what, you give them a question and they'll absolutely respond to that in the right way. They're very tactical and very measured response. They'll fight you for it a little bit, but then back off, trying to not lose too much. And I think that's the bit which I'm really excited to see how, whether the unstoppable force is going to be able to, actually shift the immovable object.
You know, it's definitely going to be a matter of making sure that SPG can stall a Flogel's attack and SPG themselves doesn't get stalled when they're attacking.
Absolutely. And if Flogel ever really get put in that spot where they are stymied, whether their approach does break down, they're going to find themselves in a very difficult position. And I think SPG really are going to be able to dismantle them if they can get them to that position. Now, I actually think Flogel are really going to win this. I love their dynamic style, and I think they're going to be able to catch SPG off guard more than SPG are really going to be able to stop them.
You know, I think Flogels is a very strong team, but I really like SPG. I love the guys on the team. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like Flogels guys. The Flogel guys are great, but I think SPG, with their planning, is really going to be able to take advantage. They know how Flogels plays, and when they know how a team plays, they can take advantage of that. They can come up with plans to counter it. They can come up with perfect strats to just go in, and they, you know, if you know where someone's going to be hiding on one of these maps, you will be able to kill them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be very much getting the proper read on the strategy as well. And if you're playing by the book, it might be that little bit easier to read. I think it's a big part of it. And I'm interested as well to see whether at the same time you can't just play off instinct and passion alone. No, you got to also have that kind of solid base on which to really play. So I do think it's very much going to be down to Flogel to show us that they at least have some of that more rigid playstyle.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, Flogels can definitely come up with plans, and they have some very experienced players. So it could be anyone's game. I do think SPG might have the edge. All right, we're coming into the map. We're on Operation Donut Splinter. It seems like SPG is looking to pull off a storefront breach. This is a very common strat on a lot of C stores, as the bomb tends to be in storefront, and you can use your wall charge to just get into the bomb room. And there's not a lot of cover in there for the defenders to hold. And all the cover that they do have, all the angles they do have, they're nice colors on the map. They're yellow, they're blue, they're white, so you know exactly where to look when you get in there. The Flogels, they seem to be prepared for this. They're putting 2 barbed wires in storefront in areas that should allow them to try and counter and funnel SPG as they come in. And they seem to be heavily stacking in arcade, ready to all fire from that arcade door, and having other people in freezer, ready to shoot them from the side.
Yeah, especially being able to stop players from being right on top of that bomb as you're trying to push through from the front. Really great read as well that the storefront push is coming. As we see that clack come on in, they're going for the push straight away. Flashes aplenty as they move on in here, trying to get up close and personal, getting right up on them. You can see Desert Magna does manage to move on forward, but they're the one who goes down here as we do see frags coming out from Flogel as a whole. It's down to 3 versus 3 right now, and 2 players still sitting right towards the back here, but 1 over in arcade for SPG. They're still trying to flush out Ghetto. You can see goes really close there, but gets taken down. Way too aggressive right now with the shotgun, waiting around the corner, trying to catch them off guard. You can see Dagdog trying to get rid of the freezer player. You can see now as they're starting to move on into that storefront. The flank is coming back round, defusing the bomb, but there it is. The shots come on through. Still trying to play it 6-sided. Contesting takes it down. One of those last remaining players. It's just Ghetto versus the world right now. Needs to be able to take them down. They're swapping around their weapons. They're playing around a little bit. Doesn't know where this last remaining player is and is actually going hunting for them. This is pretty standard here from this SPG squad, trying to find some of those players who are waiting out there, don't want to let up and get caught out, and just trying to bait on that bomb right now, knowing that if they commit all too hard, it's going to be oh so difficult. The spray comes out, baits them off. They've got a lot of time to work with, 35 seconds, and there's the spray. Comes on through. Defenders pick up round 1.
Oh, yeah. No, we had an interesting fight there. We saw Six had to end up looting for weapons there, and he ended up with a Defender shotgun, which is a very close-range weapon, and we saw Ghetto with the neck. Another close-range weapon, but you do have the ability to just get out there and reach your targets a little bit better. So it certainly was an interesting fight. Now, I think Six made a misplay. He went to go push after the first wallbang spray came through, when it was really hitting the pile of ice in the freezer, which was protecting him. He should have waited for the defender to push him, and I think he might have been able to take that. I don't think he was also expecting Ghetto to be playing so close to the door there, and it just caught him off guard, which was unfortunate. It was a very close round.
Yeah, it absolutely was. It did obviously go down to that 1 versus 1, and he was trying to look for that information, find the player off the site, but didn't quite work out there, unfortunately, so gets caught out. And, well,
yeah. Ghetto was playing very patiently and waiting for Six to reveal himself, and Six was just forced to based on the clock. He didn't really have much of a choice. It was a bit unfortunate that we saw the team kill from SPG, but I think that the player who was brought down by the teammate would have gone down either way. Coming in on Operation Chronos Fist, we're bringing it for the first kill house map of this game, and we have a club bomb. This club actually has a lot of cover, so it's going to be very interesting to see where the defenders play, because they have a lot of options in club. Looking at this, it seems like SPG is really thinking about an office charge. They might even be considering trying to shotgun it open, as I believe Flogels is painfully aware of the possibility of by this large line we can see from kitchen door to office door. SPG also looking like they want to smoke off backstage, which is going to be very strong. That's going to completely cut down the number of angles they're going to have to watch when they get into club. It's just going to be south. And if you can get flashbangs down there, yeah, there's a lot of cover, but there's only so much you can do when you're blind. Flogels coming in. Looks like they're going to try and barb off backstage. Double barb in backstage. I think they might be really expecting a lockers play here, despite all their lines over in office. Yeah, we see a barb go down on office. There was a marker for a barb, but it wasn't placed. Ghetto has some wire, but I think that's probably going to come down to a late barb. It'll probably come down on the office once they breach.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to try and deny some of that push and also have that little bit of flexibility to play around with. Still got a decent amount of time before they actually make that. They're trying to just get those pre-fires off. That's a quick execute. Tries to get the wallbang there, but doesn't actually find all so much. You can see Tiger Man trying to contest here, but Sleep is actually the one to find that first frag. Flogel way too up and aggressive and actually gets caught out. That does mean that they have a player advantage early on here. Tiger Man, I think, really needs to find one of those big frags. Otherwise, this is going to be a little bit of a disappointing round for them. Dagdog playing right up towards this angle, expecting the flank to come on through with that shotty. Potentially going to try and rid themselves of some of these players as they are looking to flash now as Tibor Taran and Dagdog looking to make that push on through. That smoke doesn't provide all too much, but a good smoke towards backstage might be enough. As you can see right now, they're just trying to deal with Tiger Man, maybe try and cut them off effectively, because right now, it's very difficult for them to push on through. They're wasting a lot of that utility. They have a lot of time to play with. As you see the flash goes on in, they start to make their move. Kuko trying to deal with some of these players. Ghetto just waiting around the corner, needs to find that shot. It will be, Kuko who goes down. Same for Ghetto. It's just Tiger Man to make this retake now. Does manage to find that all-important first frag, but as they move on in, it just ain't going to work. And it's a great round there for SPG.
That could have gone really bad. We saw that they really took their time getting through office. They weren't really seeing much engagement. If, Flogels had managed to come in and push SPG while they were stalled in kitchen and office, we might have seen a different way it played out. I mean, yes, they did have the auto shotgun covering the north, so it would have been hard to flank them there. But it was definitely, that's Flogels' main advantage on defense, and they just weren't using it that round. And now SPG has an auto shotgun with mostly full ammo. They didn't even use a charge to come in there. Pretty much the only main utility they're down is a frag, and now Flogels has no power weapons. The mop was lost. The auto shotgun's gone, and they're down barbed wire. So this could be a very strong factory for SPG to take, as they pretty much have the economy advantage. They have two charges. They have both their clackers. Oh, no, they do not have both their clackers. They did lose the wall charge and one of their clackers in the first round, but they do still have two door charges, which could give them the advantage, as they can, they can open Toxic and they can open a Pico on docks, or even fan and a Pico on docks. So it's very possible to catch a lot of Flogels players way out of position. It's very hard to predict two breaches in most cases.
I mean, Flogels as a whole are not a great reactive team. They often want to be making those plays themselves. And I think especially with an open map like this, they could find themselves in a very difficult position. And you agree?
Operation Merlin Minotaur. It's a factory map. It's one of the more open factory maps. Office is actually not as powerful as a position as it typically is. We can see that it doesn't even really look over bomb. You can maybe get an angle, but it's going to be hard.
Yeah, they could hide behind it as well.
Yeah. What is interesting here is if SPG were to do the fan push, they can come along the shelving and actually make the jump onto the office shelving using those forklifts, and that will give them the ability to take office from that range. Seems like SPG wants to, I don't know what they want to do. They have marked literally everything on the map. It seems like Flogels is expecting something on the dock. I think they are expecting a peak hole there. That seems to be their only prediction. Otherwise, they seem to just be generally barbing every entrance, as there seems to be barb marker on the fan. They are actually able to get there from there. So we will see barb go down on the fan, and we have barb blocking off servers green. I don't know if they brought another barb, but I did see initially a mark on Toxic. So, yep, Ghetto does have a barb. That is probably late barb to counter, although if SPG goes Toxic, I don't know if they're going to have the time to place it down. However, it looks like SPG is moving towards the fan. They do have both door charges, so we will probably see a peak hole on docks and fan blown.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Two big open areas, great to really leverage some of those long range strengths that they would have. There are a couple of weapons and some of those longer range rifles that are available to the defenders right now, but you can see a flash going through. The execute comes right away, jumping straight on through, moving with rapid pace right now, really looking to challenge SPG at their own game. Some long range play does mean that they lose out on one of those players towards the back here. Deus Ex Machina goes down, but Ghetto falls in response, six-sided, playing from that dock position, but as much as Sleep is trying to deal with Tiger Man here, it has been kind of difficult for them to have that same kind of pressure. Molly does keep them away for now, and good SMG play means they secure Flogel as well. Flogel as a team right now, down a player and looking for an opportunity to push on forward. Sticking on the bomb, can Sleep bait out some of these shots, but it seems like when you're contesting at long range, it always seems to go the way of this attacking side. They're looking for the flank. There it's coming. He's going to be up in office, and this should be easy pickings for them right here. Tebow doesn't find that shot, however, and the rest of the team is going to be the one who try to do the damage. Sleep up close and personal finds the shot finally, and they will lock that one on out. Good stuff from SPG here, as they have a pretty effective early attack here.
We really saw Flogels expect that dock door charge, and they were playing in a position so that they weren't exposed to it. It would have been interesting to see if they had blown dock 1 instead of dock 4. That might have given SPG a better angle onto conveyors to counter most of those people. However, the charge on dock 4 did enable basically all of Office to get locked down, and the Office couldn't contest bomb whatsoever because we had 6 with the mop there, just clicking on heads, getting kills. Although that's what you expect from Six-Sided. Six-Sided is an excellent sniper player in this game. He could just click on heads. He is a menace with the saber, and if you give him the mop on attack, it's all over.
Yeah, you were kind of talking about how, as a squad, SPG play to that very standard tack shooter style of roles. You have the main fraggers, you obviously have your entry fragger, but you also have your supports who are very happy to lose a lot of their utility. And he is absolutely one of those big fraggers for the squad, especially with those longer range weapons, kind of a bit of a terror, honestly. And well, I think for the most part, if you're Flogel right now, you're definitely feeling that terror, very much struggling to have a proper impact in some of these rounds.
Yeah, no. We come in and now we have had side switch. So we're going to see SPG on defense and Flogels on attack. Here we're going to see both teams shine. They're in their element. SPG is very powerful, very good at prediction. I mean, we can already see this. Flogels wants to push arcade, and it seems like SPG is already planning to place 3 barbed wire. Their entire supply of barbed wire for this round. Oh, looks like they're actually going to go over the standard 3, and they're going to use 4. Maybe not. It looks like the only confirmed barbed wire they have is 1 in storage, and they're just considering different spots in arcade. But they are clearly prepping for arcade, and they are ready to stop that breach. It seems like they know Flogels is going to want to come through there, and they're getting ready to stop it. It's hard to say whether they're going to set up a defense in arcade or set it up more in storefront. There definitely appears to be plans for people to play in tellers and freezer, which can give very good line of sights onto that arcade door, where they can just funnel them with Molotovs. It's going to be hard to push. If they are able to hold Flogels in arcade and get a few picks early on, I think this round could very easily go to SPG. However, if Flogels are able to push straight through arcade, like I think they want to, especially if they can get into tellers and hit that button and open up a whole nother entrance for them, it's going to be a very easy round for Flogels.
I mean, the other thing is as well is if you put a smoke in front of freezer and you have control of arcade teller, the only 2 ways they can push is through the smoke, which, I mean, I think we all know is pretty awful, or in through office, and you could just have multiple players kind of covering those angles, and it would just be such an easy closeout for the attacking side. But of course, you got to get there first, and sometimes that can be easier said than done. I think that's absolutely going to be the case here, especially with the prep that you were kind of talking about has come out from SPG.
Looks like Dagdog's playing arcade, ready for a late bar, but it'll be interesting to see if he risks it and try and put it right on the red door, if he's going to place it a little further back. There is a very nice spot to place it just back here in the arcade.
Yeah, we do actually see them playing again towards storage as well. One thing can test this angle from a couple of different ways. The execute comes on through. Six-sided already tries to make an impact, but does get forced back a little bit. Molly to deny the push in storage as well. One to deny in shed as well. They can't get into arcade yet, buying some time with that utility, but decent amount of utility invested already. They're going to have a hard time if this push comes on through properly. Flash goes in. Execute comes on through. Tibor doesn't find anything, but Sleep pushes on through. Will they find that frag? It looks like they're all struggling to hit each other, but finally the Benny Hill chase concludes, and they do go down. This is a big advantage right now, as it looks like Flogel are just absolutely making this work. Six-sided, however, does find 2 quick shots there and executes some of those remaining players. It's 3 versus 3 due to that play, and even then, Dagdog bursts through into bathroom and takes it down Tiger Man. It's going to be easy pickings here, as you have to be so darn worried. Gilbostia, Kuko also trying to contest that, but it just doesn't seem to be going away. Dagdog even makes it out of Freezer, and they have no arcade control here. Deus Ex Machina trying to contest, doesn't quite manage to make it happen, so it is back to 2v2. Low HPs on all of these players right now. Contest, there's the flash. They want to be able to clear out Six-sided, but with so little health, this could be a real problem. Easy shot for Six-sided, and Kuko very aware that if you pass through that barbed wire, it is just all over. Really well played by SPG as they completely shut down that push.
We really saw SPG able to just completely turn Flogels' momentum against them. They shut down their main push in arcade, and it came down to the secondary push in storage to carry, and they just weren't ready for that. I think their plan was to clear their flank and push with them in arcade, and they just couldn't do that. And then when they tried to regroup and rally and push through Freezer, they were just shut down again there, thanks to the skill of Dagdog with that KR. And, you know, they tried to loop back around through arcade, and by that point, they'd just taken too much damage and weren't really able to make much do. That said, they did have quite a bit of utility on them. It looked like Boss Jr. had 2 flashbangs on him, which could have been used to great effect. However, I think he only managed to throw 1 before he was killed. All right.
Yeah. Not being able to use that utility, I think, was the key part. They didn't manage to get their executes on properly after those initial pushes into storage.
Coming back in on Operation Chronos Fist. Again, this map has a lot of cover in club, so I think we can expect to see a lot of people trying to anchor in club, and the big risk there is flashbangs. So you really have to play anti-flash, which is going to require you to hold them at the doors, probably with Molotovs and barbed wire. So they'll throw their flashbangs in, Molotov comes in, and then that flashbang's basically wasted because anyone is just not going to get pushed because there's a Molotov. Seems like SPG is actually planning to play more around Brickhouse, which is an interesting play. I think they're expecting Flogels to maybe go green, because not only do you have the ability to open that red pretty easily from a green push, the office red is the red that you can open with the shotgun, but you know, they did just lose a clacker. That is a huge loss, and trying to force a clacker play could be extremely risky, as if you lose that second clacker, you're forced to go green. And your opponents will know you're forced to go green, which means it is a very easy hold. This game on the fence, a huge part of it is prediction. And if you know where they're going, that takes the whole element out of it, and you can set up perfectly for their plan of attack. They're coming in. Looks like they're planning to double barb Brickhouse. I think this might also be a play to try and negate wall bangs, especially with that southern barb. They might actually also be anticipating a wall charge play through there. I don't really know what Flogels is doing. They just kind of circled the map.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't very much given away anything. I think green is absolutely the way to go for the reasons you kind of stated. In Factory is not a map where you want to play. I'd be surprised to see them push through Brick House, though. I'd more expect them to maybe look for this office play, because that was somewhere where we saw a lot of success in the previous round. So, I mean, if it worked for them, why wouldn't it work for us? I think is Flogels' kind of whole plan with that one, clearing out a lot of these areas. And look who pushes on through. Almost a disaster there, but they open up some of these key doors and have a lot of map control right now. 1 minute 35 on the clock, and already trying to get some of those wall bangs out. Only a little bit of damage on the board for SPG right now, as finally a maneuver starts to be made on towards Brickhouse. A couple of shots back and forth, but no real kills yet. A little bit of damage, nothing too consequential. Waiting for the flash, trying to play together. Push on through here. There you go. Pushes right on in. You can see Tiger Man absolutely leading the charges. Now Flogel trying to move into Brickhouse, and, well, they just execute 2 players waiting on site. Trying to play anti-flash, you may be, but you just move out into the open. That's an easy frag there. Not finding anything as well. Six-sided, getting no success at all. Sleep does manage to trade 1 back, but Ghetto is still looking for that execute onto this position, waiting, but there's the spray, and it's just that one remaining player, Deus Ex Machina, absolutely out of here. Really well played, actually, by Flogel.
I know, it looked like it was gonna go bad for them. They were stuck in office and kitchen, and it looked like they really didn't want to push that brick house, which meant that they were forced to go through that office door into club, which is a huge choke point. You really can't work around it. If you don't have brick house control, you really can't try and wallbang people through the wall, which is a huge part of playing kill house. But they decided that they were going to use their frag to clear the barbed wire to take brick house. You know, Flogels likes to move. They didn't like being stuck in office and kitchen, so they decided to go the path of least resistance, which was brick house. Even with all the barbed wire stationed there was not a lot of guns watching it, so it just made it very easy for them to push through and take brick house, clear lockers, and it really just came down to sleep with the shotgun, and he just was not able to get the kills necessary.
Yeah, it was kind of that they gave up the one place where we thought they were actually going to hold. They pretty much gave up complete control of Brick House as soon as the execute came in more towards that right hand, more towards that east hand side. And from there, as soon as Flogel decided, hey, pushing from one angle isn't going to work out, they started to push back more from the north into Brick House and trying to contest that. Now, the problem here is that because they've given up so much control, it's easy for them to push on in. Then they panicked, they turned away, forgot that there were actually two players sitting on the other side of that door, and went down instantly and found themselves in a position where it was 5 versus 3. And what do you even do from that position, especially when the attackers are really in great positions to push on in? Your anti-flash strat hasn't worked at all. None of it really came to fruition as soon as you made those mistakes and those lapses of concentration, which allowed you to go down.
Flogels really did a great job of luring the defenders into aggressive fights there. I don't think many of them even were killed while flashed. I mean, we saw Sleep try and push, and he did get that one kill, but he was just shut down later. So I think that round, Flogels was really able to take advantage of SPG's necessity for order and strategy, and just use it against them, even though SPG was doing such a great job of keeping Flogel's momentum down. Now we're back on Operation Merling Minotaur, our factory map for this half of the game. Coming in, and it looks like Flogels wants to do a dock push. They still have their wall charge, so that is more than possible. I think that SPG is actually expecting it, although they seem to be expecting it at dock 1 rather than dock 4, which is where Flogels wants to do it. Flogels also wants to try and push the shelving, it looks like, from Fan. Although rather than barbing on the fan, or maybe SPG does seem to want to barb on the fan, but they're also thinking about barbing either side of the fan, which is going to force Flogels to jump down off the shelving, and they're going to lose that very, very powerful high ground, which not only enables them to shoot down on their targets, but enables them to get easy access to office.
I think, honestly, if you put it on the north-hand side where we kind of see them just walk on through, denying them the way to kind of contest office is absolutely fantastic. You only really need one. Whereas if you put that barbed wire down actually on the fan, unless you've got someone contesting that angle really heavily and is absolutely on point, obviously, like we might see from Dagdog here, but it is actually really difficult to get any value out of that. So I like the idea of that. Obviously, they don't go for it. Instead, they're waiting with an auto shotty up there. And that could be a nice surprise for the Flogel squad. They are, as you say, kind of going for the opportunity to open up Doc a little bit more. I'm interested to see Sleep in this position right now. It feels like the worst possible place for them to be playing. They're trying to contest Kuko here. Kuko playing around that fan pretty deftly, knowing that they don't want to commit all too hard and actually inadvertently making the very much right call with T-Ball Taran there. Execute's going to come on in. If they push on through that, good molly to buy time. They are out in the open there. Kuko does manage to finally rid themselves of Sleep as the Execute comes on through, and that means that now T-Ball Taran can't be out in the open there, completely caught off guard, needed to be aware of when that push was coming. Dagdog, sure, gets one, but it's just that last remaining player over in servers now, and, well, it's going to kind of be difficult for Six-Sided here. Sure, they found one, but with 3 players closing on their position and also potentially just sitting on the bomb here, it was easy pickings, and they bring it back to even. Really well played there, and some big mistakes made with that auto shotty up on the high ground.
Despite expecting a wall charge, like they thought it was going to come. Although I assume SPG was thinking the wall would come first, and then a fan or toxic push would come later. They were too focused on the fan. They only saw one guy there, and they just let the entire Flogels team sneak up to docks and catch 2 of their players, or actually 3, because it was Sleep, Dag, and Tiber who were just caught just completely with no cover, Flashbangs went in. There was nothing they could do, and they were completely wiped. I believe it's a tied game now, 3-3.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I think also they were expecting that push from Doc 1, and that was a really silly mistake to expect that to come from there and not be prepared for Doc 4 as well. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think just getting caught out there by the thing. We've had someone crash.
Yeah, it seems like.
What do we do then, Red? I'm new here. What do we do?
I think they're gonna try and reconnect.
Okay, we keep playing.
Yeah,
okay. All right, we're good. Everything is okay. Nothing is going wrong. And obviously, we have 3 new maps. Interested to see kind of what differences we have here as well, because obviously, well, everything's completely changed. This storefront is now nowhere near the same as it once was. And I think, honestly, you're looking to just blow through onto storefront, maybe put some smokes down to cut off Teller or Arcade. Otherwise, this could be a mess of a map to break through.
Oh yeah, no, that is for sure. Arcade and Storefront are definitely some of the strongest plays on this map, as they are very quick rushes right onto bomb, which is what Flogels really likes to do. So it's going to be very hard for SPG to create a counter for this. However, it is possible. The freezer, if left unassaulted, can be a very strong position to hold, and that Tellers is a bunker. You need a shotgun or a door charge to get in there, or you need to come all the way around to storage and kick down that green door. Either way, it's very hard to take and has a line of sight right onto bomb with the peek hole. Looks like SPG is already placing down a pretty standard. They might even double barb it on Arcade, which is very good. It makes it very hard for the attackers to push in, although with a frag grenade, it can clear both those barbs instantly, but that is a lot of utility used. Looks like SPG does consider barbing the green, although I think their double barb on Arcade is the more important one, as Flogel seems to want to do that push. They might also split Office just to, secure their flank a little bit.
I mean, the thing that really looks out to me is if you can stop Arcade from getting a proper line of sight onto the back of bomb, if you put a smoke towards Teller or something like that to cut it out, Freezer has to assault you from over the kind of shelves. And that does make things kind of difficult. You need to have those mollies ready to try and deny. Otherwise, you're going to have a very difficult time to do that at all. So I actually think with a good smoke here, you could completely cut this down to a 1-position push from Teller/Arcade. Contest early. They are really going for this around that green. Surprised to see that push come in so quickly. Boss Jr. still trying to take this ghetto, just putting shots down range onto Dagdog there as they open up into Arcade. 6-sided, completely caught out here. Molly, though, does find Boss Jr. as he is absolutely caught off guard there. They're going to be able to rid themselves of some of this there. Takes out all of that barbed wire, and now the bomb is open. They can start playing towards it. There's one player in Freezer still asleep, waiting around the corner, but you can see Kuko starting to close the gap and try and catch him off guard. Dagdog looking to try and give some backup as well. Tiger Man pushes on through. That's a dead sleep. Seems to be the brother of it. Dagdog does get the shot back, however, and it does leave us with 3 versus 2, but Ghetto is absolutely on the flank right now. A good frag from Tibor means that it's going to be hard to probably get this executed down. Going to bait on the defuse. You can see Tibor running back around, trying to make it in time as Kuko comes off, trying to bait it out, gets a little bit of damage, but doesn't finish them off. Still baiting on it, knowing they're likely to come from Teller here, but is ready for that opportunity. Good spray comes on in. That's a fantastic round for Flogel.
I mean, this round really just came down to the utility usage. We saw the frag to clear the barbed wire in Arcade, allowing them to just completely take the storefront. I think Deus Ex, Sleep, Dagdog, and 6-sided all died while flashed. Or at least were running into walls at one point. I mean, 6-sided's Molly that managed to take out Boss Jr. That was complete panic. He was running into the wall just trying to get a Molotov anywhere to try and stop it, and he managed to get it into the room over and get a kill, which is honestly impressive in its own right.
Yeah, honestly, I expected that Boss was going to be completely fine there and just run out, but he gets caught in that situation. And yeah, even with all of the panic going on, SPG do manage to mount something of a defense. And from a pretty dire situation, I have to say that they almost clutched that one back. But unfortunately, they didn't have the positioning. When the onus is very much on you to deny the person trying to defuse the bomb, it becomes much more difficult. And that's kind of what we saw there. Very much that objective-based gameplay that Flogel were leveraging heavily. So good early play from them. And I mean, honestly, I was surprised to see them go through the green, but they did it really well. Good flashes, good execute, and getting rid of some of those players, really splitting the map in half and giving them a lot of map control.
Oh, yeah. No, that was very good play on Flogels. They were able to aggressively take the bomb. They really should have started the defuse earlier when they had the man advantage, but they were just picked off one by one. Luckily, Kuko was able to hold the bomb. He really only had to hold Freezer and Tellers, which you can kind of do about the same, and he was able to beat the gunfight against Tiber. All right, coming in, this is our kill house for this half of the game. We got Operation Waxing Dusk. Now, this is a very interesting one because the green is a breezeway. Breezeway is just a giant long hallway that's made of windows that you can just walk through. But it's also got doors on either side that have windows in them, so you can very much peek from office and club onto the breezeway and create a massive crossfire. We already see SPG planning to put barbed wire on both sides of breezeway, which will really lock it if Flogels tries to push in there. However, I doubt they will. They were able to recover the clacker from that last round, which means that they can push one of the red doors, and they do seem to be planning to push training, which is a very strong, quick push like they like. They like these aggressive plays. SPG does seem to be a bit more worried about club, having more barbed wire marks around there. They are ready for a breezeway play, however, that's not going to come.
Yeah, it seems like the easy way to push on in, but it's kind of deceptively difficult, especially if teams are preparing for it. So really great call, I actually think, from Flogel. If they are going to go training, maybe they don't. Maybe we're wrong actually here, is they seem to be very much ready to try and push on into Breezeway. Look at them. They're just absolutely going for it. Smoke goes down and pushing right on into office. That is not a great way to push. You're going to get flanked to high heaven. T-Ball Tyrant will be able to take them out as Flogel just gets way too aggressive there. Leader of the squad does get easily taken out. And you can see Kuko trying to slip on into there, holding some more defensive positions, maybe expecting a flank, trying to take down some of these players before they make a move on forward. A good frag will rid them of that barbed wire, but you still have to be careful because you know T-Ball Tyrant's right there and they take down Tiger Man as well. Boss Jr. takes a lot of damage, but does finally manage to rid themselves of that pain in the neck and continue to harass them on through there. So now it's a 4 versus 3, and they're all coming from the same angle. This should be such a good position for SPG to play from. If Flogel find this, I'll honestly be super impressed. Even with their aggressive play, it's going to be nigh upon impossible. Molly's going in as well to waste some time. Sure, you do see Flogel pick up some of those flashes, getting ready for that push, but even with the flashes, there's so much to play around. It's so difficult to properly deal with these players. Dagdog baiting out some utility, baiting out some shots, but right now Kuko trying to play around this angle, pushes forward aggressively, gets the shot, takes down Dagdog, and continues to move on in with the backup of Ghetto. Maybe they can find something here. They don't have all too much. They have a couple of flashes left, but that Molly maybe buys some time. Ghetto rushes on in, pushes forward, takes down Deus Ex, but gets refragged back. Six-sided absolutely on top of things, knowing that they can't get caught off guard here. 2 versus 2, with only 25 seconds left on the clock. That flash is going to be the last utility that they have. Kuko picked off right away. Their six-sided is behind. Boss Jr. does find one, but it's only one, and six-sided clutches it out, bringing things back to even Stevens.
I know. Tiber really coming out with the clutch play, hiding in that corner. I mean, Flogels clearly made the call about Tiber being there. However, when Tigaman pushed Tiber, he clearly did not communicate to his team that he went down, and Tiber was still very much alive, very much ready to come in. And while Tiber was not able to get any more kills, he did some serious damage to Boss Jr., which I think really hurt them in the long run, as pretty much everyone pushing into the room at the end was pretty hurt. That there was a Molotov that did a lot of damage too. They were, 2, maybe 3 shots at most before they went down, and we just saw 6 with the shotgun cleaning up.
Six-sided, proving that they're not only good with those long-range rifles, they can make the short-ranged ones work too. Absolutely blowing some heads off, and a really good way to kind of close out the round for them. And honestly, after a disaster of an early push, I'm surprised again that Flogel managed to bring that back. Just pushing on in way too aggressively, not respecting T-Ball Tyrant to just hold that with a shotgun. It seems like pushing on aggressively into shotguns is a big problem for Flogel, which makes a lot of sense with kind of the style that we were talking about them play. They try to play for pressure, they try to play for tempo, and And sometimes you get a little bit too overzealous, you lose a player, and that's just the way things go. So I think Flogel kind of aware that that's sometimes a problem themselves, but deciding that the cons outweigh, so the pros outweigh the cons.
Oh yeah, for sure. Coming in on this last map that we're going to see for this game, it's Operation Crab Artemis, a factory map. Very interesting, as unlike most factory maps, it's got a lot of close quarters areas. These are the factory maps I like to play on and I like to plan on because there's just a lot of opportunity. The big open ones are pretty much just who can click on heads better. These ones you have to think about, you have to push. Everyone doesn't just grab a rifle. You're gonna want shotguns, you're gonna want SMGs, you're gonna want things for these different ranges, and you can pick and choose when you're attacking whether you want to go close or you want to go long. It seems like that Flogels is looking to just go green. They have a smoke down ready for that green push. They might go one of the two fans. That is definitely a possibility. They have circled the northernmost fan as a possible entrance. However, their line and other marks seem to suggest that they're just going to go the green. SPG seems to be trying to hold these closer areas. They seem to be playing around office, servers, and storage with only a few players sitting in the large shelving area. Interestingly, their player in the shelving area, the very wide open long range area, is using a shotgun. Charge goes down on the northernmost fan, but Flogels does take a hit.
Yeah. Let's attempt there. I like as well that they're trying to play more towards some of these angles, playing very ambushy with that auto shotty. This time it might actually work out. You can see Tibor Taran looking very, very keenly to try and get something aggressive there, but they blow it up and hightail it out of there. You can see trying to play way too aggressive shots, actually almost landing from Kuko there as he's trying to take a tighter and tighter angle to force Tibor Taran off. Does manage to do it. Good position, and now you can obviously see Tibor Taran looking to relocate, wants to catch him off guard with his auto shot. He gets some actual value out of it. One of those power weapons that you kind of mentioned before, and has been struggling to actually find it for their team, at least in the first half. Smokes go in. Execute comes on through. Green is an easy push coming on through here, and actually by investing that smoke, you're going to save a way to entry on through here. You see the shots ringing down range, and they use that to go right on through into storage here. Good molly to try and deny it, and I don't think they were necessarily expecting that. You can see Deus Ex Machina ready, but actually finds the frag. Flogel, you got to win those. Does not put their team in a good position now. You see Ghetto maybe trying to move up and take that position for themselves, but Deus Ex Machina looking to try and hold that wherever they darn well can. Keeps their back to the wrong angle, however, and that is just Tiger Man looking to close things out, but does not hit the shots. Deus Ex Machina running havoc around here with this shotgun, just not respecting him, Flogel, right now, and they find themselves down to 2 players against 4 with no real way to make this execute happen. A couple of flashes left on the board. Actually, I think it's a flash and a smoke, and that's not how you want to make this execute happen. You see Kuko and Ghetto actually find many a frag right there. Dagdor trying to contest, trying to play around. It does finally finish them off and does clutch it out. A good set of plays by SPG there to be able to put themselves in the win.
I will say I did not expect the wall charge play at all. I mean, I knew they had the wall charge, but I did not see that as a play. And I think it was a very good one, because to push storage from docks, you have to go up that catwalk, which they head barbed, and through that door. That is a huge choke point, and you're going to be dealing with Molotovs and shots from all over the place. The wall charge lets them skip through right that. Now, it is unfortunate that Flogels was not able to pull off the round, but they got very, very close. SPG got a little sloppy, perhaps even a little overconfident towards the end, and that almost cost them the round. They had a few players way out of position. But again, I think both teams played that really well. I think SPG was just able to have slightly better positioning in those close quarters areas. Flogels seemed to have the equipment for a standard long-range factory map, whereas SPG was playing with a lot of shotguns, which is just hard to compete.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happens when you leave a lot of that equipment towards the end, preparing for a factory map that generally are a little bit factory maps, which generally are that little bit longer ranged, and then you actually don't have much to deal with the situation which is in front of you. I think that was a real problem for them, and it happens when you're on that first rotation, when you're the ones kind of being more exploratory on that map, when you're on the attacking side. Obviously, the vice versa can happen on the defending side, but they get caught out quite hard there, and Flogel kind of finding themselves in a bit of a difficult position now. I think they wanted to come out with a more successful attacking side. And, well, now they find themselves down a round and in a position where they could easily just get completely beaten out.
I mean, again, all SPG needs to do is win one more round, and then they can't lose. The worst they can do is tie. It seems like they know this, and they're ready to just dedicate a wall charge. They want to take that storefront, although Flogels knows they want to do this. They're setting up barbed wire for it. It's going to be interesting to see if they are able to secure the storefront like they're going to need to do, as Flogels has proven before that they can shut down some of these pushes. I believe this is the first strat we saw SPG attack with on the C-store way back ago on the first round, and Flogels was able to win that round on defense. Now, Flogels is not actually a very defensively strong team in a lot of scenarios, so this could be great for SPG. They might be able to take this first game.
Yeah, when you don't have to worry about these flanks so much because you've got a lot of them consolidating on this one point, and you actually have these players ready for any pushes anyway, when you're not going to get picked off one by one, I think that's where you can have a lot of success against Flogels, because they are a very aggressive, up-in-your-face and individualistic team. So this is actually a perfect position for them to really be on in. And, well, War Charge goes in, Execute comes on out, and now the players are pushing right on through Storefront. You can see that now there's one player in Freezer looking to try and contest this. Is Tiger Man. He's biding his time as Flogel continues to try and push that pressure on. Dagdog just gets up, and aggressive Ghetto does put him to sleep, but, well, Flogel joins in the fun too, as you see Tiger Man finally getting swept out of that position. 2 versus 2 now in this main position, as there's still one sitting outside, and oh, Deus Ex Machina finds the frag onto Kuko there, and it's just Boss Jr. versus 3. This is going to be such a difficult position as well. Doesn't have a lot of aim on that weapon. It's so difficult to really wield properly. You can see Sleep just baiting on the bomb. The molly comes on through, but it's not even going to deny anything. He has to go through to tell her. You can see Deus Ex and Sleep both very aware of that. And you can see Sleep just waiting in that position, trying to bait it out, knows that Boss Jr. has to play towards them. And with that advantage, they're easily going to close him out. That's a good round. And now, as you said, SPG just can't lose.
Oh, yeah, no. They have 2 rounds to win, and even if they lose both of them, it will be a tie, which is going to put SPG in a very strong position for this game, and this match as a whole, as it's going to take a lot of pressure off their shoulders and put a lot more on Flogel's shoulders going into the next match.
Yeah, Flogel are now looking at this and going, oh god, we are so far behind. Need to win 2 straight rounds to bring it back. I mean, again, the defenders did win on these maps, but I think that's also, like, in part down to some misplays on the attacking side. And Flogel, I think they're very aware of that, and don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off in the same way. Obviously, you got to try and catch them off guard as the Execute comes on it. I want to see where the kind of drawings come on in, where the Execute is going to come from SPG, because that could just decide the game on itself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, SPG have 2 charges. They have 2 clackers, and they only need 1 round. It could be it's very likely that we'll see a double charge. We might see them use a door charge on this green door into kitchen, as it basically acts as a clearing device. It'll destroy any barbed wire behind it, and it'll do damage to any of the defenders trying to hold it close with maybe a shotgun or a knack. Seems like they could also be considering just doing the double charge on both red doors, which is going to allow them to pincer kitchen, and it's going to be very hard for anyone in there to hold it, as it's pretty much going to reserve them to just the southern bit that'll have any cover from both sides. But they will have to watch out for the flanks from the top. As we saw last time, Tiber holding the little cubby up north was able to do a lot of damage in the long term. So 1 or 2 players in the Officer Club could really hurt SPG, as they'll come in from the flanks when they're focusing on kitchen. Seems like Flogels are preparing for this possibility. They do have both the kitchen doors marked for barbed wire, and they are looking like they're planning to set up a crossfire from Club onto Breezeway, which could be devastating if SPG sends anyone to peek Breezeway. Losing a player early on to a unlucky mop is huge.
Yeah, it can go pretty disastrously if you make any sort of error. But I do like that they're looking for more easy access towards the actual site with the way they're putting in these door charges. But again, this is a Hail Mary. If this does not work out, if they don't get any value off with these door charges, things could go really badly. So it looks like they're not bringing all too much. I think they are bringing... Yeah, I don't know.
They don't actually even have a clacker.
Yeah, I was going to say they don't have a clacker. I was looking around for that.
They think that next round is going to be a better map for them, so they're trying to do it with as little as possible.
I mean, they can also just open up this position into training. That's a good molly to try and split up the players. There's no way to capitalize on it. You see the shotgun. Just go on through. That should eventually blow open that door. They just need to actually land the right shot. Does Tivo Taran, and then it should be pretty easy peasy. There's no one even contesting the angle. That's just so free. And now they didn't need to use any of the door charges. That'll be an easy execute from them. The only problem is this door coming up. There's going to be 3 players watching this angle. That is going to be hard. You see Six-Sided still trying to contest. There is 1 player left in club, and I don't know if they're aware. There's still as well Tiger Man waiting for someone to try and potentially push on in. Flashes go through, and so does the HE to try and clear that out. A good smoke might mean that they can push on through here. Six-Sided finishes off Boss Jr. And now, where does the rotate start to come on in? The flash, there they go. There's Sex Machina trying to push on through. The molly catches them off guard. Ghetto takes down 2 big plays from the man on site right now. You see, however, they're getting covered from so many different angles. Six-Sided just putting so many shots down range. Kuko trying to do as much as they can to try and contest this, but with that door open, it's just a matter of time before they get picked apart. They're kept in the back of kitchen. They do deal with Tivo Taran. This means they only have to deal with 1 angle now. This should be so much better for them. Kuko trying to contest this, backs off just in time, just about survives. Not a lot of health left in these players, but Flogel finishes off too with a brilliant shot, and that will be the round. They're still in it for now. This could still be a draw.
Yeah, no, I think we saw there Tiber with his frag grenade. I think he wanted to try and go for a kill. He saw a player playing up there, and he threw it up there to get a kill and maybe get the barb, and he got neither, which really hurt them in the long run, because as they tried to push in from the brick house, they had 2 barbed wires. Molotov landed right on top of them, and there's just no escape. If you're in 1 barbed wire and a Molotov lands on you, you're typically dead. If you're in 2 and a Molotov lands on you, you might as well just let yourself die.
Yeah, just move away from the keyboard. You know, go get a drink, go reset for the next game. It's just over. And that's absolutely what was so problematic. They didn't actually properly clear out some of those barbed wires. And then as the push came on in, it was pretty disastrous.
You know, if they had managed to get the club push a little sooner and I think split the defender's attention earlier, they might have seen some more success. But unfortunately, that came a little too late. By the time the club team was ready to even try contesting Bomb Room, Tiber was the only one left in Brookhouse, and he was hurt.
Absolutely. Obviously, this is the final round here on a pretty closed map, to say the least. It is pretty close quarters. You can go in through office, but a lot of servers and storage can really gum you up. Interesting approach for it. And I mean, what a better way to kind of test these guys. This time, the teams will be prepared for it. They'll have the right kit. Can they make it work?
It looks like SPG wants to get up onto the shelving to just secure docks with those angles. Those might actually be predictive angles of where they think the defenders will be playing or where they want to hold. But either way, they are very strong positions, especially with some long guns. So I'm guessing that it looks like they're trying to go for the northern fan, and I think they want to get that office control because it allows them to take storage so easily and to split and go to the servers from the top. And they don't even actually have to deal with the angles that they're worried about down there. So I think we're going to see a charge through the fan, and they wouldn't be surprised if we saw a door charge used from office into storage to clear any barbed wire that's on that catwalk. That's going to increase the ease of taking storage tenfold. They're going to have the high ground. They're going to be choke point a little bit, but you're pretty much only going to have to worry about this little cubby behind the big shelving unit. Flogels is setting up a barbed wire for a green push and for the shelving push. I don't think they have much to stop if SPG gets into office. Though there is a barbed wire on the fan that SPG looks like they want to use. Although they seem to be going the other way. They might take the long way to the northern fan, or they might blow the other fan.
It's an interesting take. I really do think maybe that northern fan would have been the better call to play around office and absolutely, as you say, kind of ignore a lot of those problem positions that we saw in the first time we came to this map. Bit of a surprise to see smoke goes on through to try and cut off those long angles, and well, the execute's likely just going to come on through. Really like the smoke, absolutely fantastic, stops much from happening. Really well played by SPG to start things off. I don't even think you really want to blow anything on any kind of wall charge here. There's no point in it to open this up, but they're just going to press the button, get it right on open.
They're going to use the door charge as frag grenades.
Yeah, I mean, that works. Gets rid of that position, and the molly goes on through, but you look who's already dropped down. Deus Ex Machina. Well, this was his position last time they came here, and he's absolutely looking to make it happen again. Tiger Man waiting in the corner. Spray comes on through, but does finish him off. Deus Ex Machina doesn't have quite the success, but look at where the attackers are going. They're pushing through that top from the north side, and you can see that Flogel is very much ready for that. With all the different angles, you can see Sleep trying to contest Kuko. Almost takes him down here as the pressure is being put on all over the place. T-Bot Taran doesn't make a thing happen, and neither for Deus Ex with that position. Now, they're all trying to push on into servers, and it's just not happening. It's 2 versus 3, but not a great position here. Slip just pushes on through, takes down 1, but gets refragged. Dagdog absolutely on the job right now, but Boss Jr. versus these Lost Marine, that molly is going to completely pin them. That's such an easy pick as they bring it to tie. And, well, neither team picks up this one as it's a nail-biting finish.
That was so close. I don't know what exactly they were doing. It seemed like there was a lot of ad-lib planning there, which I think cost SPG a lot of time and a lot of team cohesion. And while they were able to get a lot of the picks and they were able to make good use of their door charges, they just didn't push together. They pushed one by one. They just conga lined right into the bomb room and were able to get picked off.
Absolutely. Really well played by Team Flogel to be able to clutch that one out. And a couple of mistakes as well being made by those attackers pushing on into that mollies and easily getting eaten up. Really well played on the whole to be able to bring it back from that 6-4 position as well. We have a short break before we have another match coming up for you. Don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
If I can go, just don't
now she's sleeping alone, and now she's eating alone. Hiding under the stairs, even though no one's home. And if you're living in the daylight, or living underground, they're sending a message that someone's watching. I don't care if someone's watching. If you're living in the daylight, or living underground, they're sending a message that someone's watching. I don't care if someone's watching us. Someone's watching us. Someone's watching us. Someone's watching us.
A horizon lights up in the palm of my hands. I reach out to grab the edge.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this series between SPG and Flogel. I am Rook, and I'm yet again joined by Red as he is shooting me in the head. And, well,
Yes.
map 1 ended it in a complete and utter dead heat.
Yeah, no, that game was really good. I think we saw both teams. They made some mistakes, but they had a few really good rounds, and most of those rounds were really close, coming down to 1v2s, 2v2s, 1v1s. You know, very intense, and it just came down to a tie. I really think SPG either got a little too overconfident or a little too stressed those last two rounds and just weren't able to make it work. They had low team cohesion, and they were just kind of coming into choke points one at a time rather than pushing all together. You know, you really need to stick together and have your whole health base push, because it's really easy to just sit and look at a door with a big gun and click on heads. But if there's 5 heads, that's a little bit more work.
Indeed it is, and that's the real forehead strategy, to push with multiple people. But, I mean, it's actually really interesting you say that, because we saw a lot of struggle to really make that auto shotty work. How do you obviously playing it in really weird positions?
Yeah, auto shotgun can be devastating. It really plays best at flanks when you catch people by surprise, because you do have to get close. It's got massive spread, but obviously it still has the one-shot potential of all the shotguns. It does have the same DPS output as every other shotgun in the game, which I think we saw last round. There was a lot of shotgun fights where there was a lot of one pumps, but those shotguns are a lot more consistent. They have a standard X spray pattern of the pellets, so you can learn how to A them. The auto shotgun is completely random, and it's a much larger spread, so you do have to get close or just have the volume to fire, which you do get from the auto shotgun. But if you are not able to land those pellets, a good player can turn around and beam you in the head with an AP-25. So, you know, you want to be aggressive with it, or you want to be really, really defensive and hold a tight angle. Those are the two ways to play it. Obviously, aggressive is a big risk. And then giving the auto shotgun to the attackers is a huge problem for the defenders, because shotguns are huge utility for the attackers. I mean, they're very strong on defense. You're able to get a lot of kills with them. But on attack, they are a huge piece of utility, because you can just open doors without having to kick them. For those who don't know, in due process, when you kick down a door to open it, you're kind of locked into an animation where you're stuck there. So if someone's playing around that door, you're just standing still waiting to get shot, which is a huge risk, and a Molotov can get dropped on you. So a lot of times you'll take damage if you kick the door. But with shotguns, you can shoot it from a range, you can be anywhere in the room, and it makes life a whole lot easier for you and your team. Now, an automatic shotgun makes that even easier, because you can shoot it and then be immediately ready to shoot anyone behind it. So that, and attackers are also very good at picking the distance they want to fight at, because they are pushing you. So they can choose to shoot you earlier or shoot you later. It just depends on how they feel and where they want to shoot you, you know, the engagement range. Flashbangs make great use of this, so you can get very close on attack. Whereas on defense, you really have to pick those corners to choose your engagement range, and flashbangs can make it kind of hard to play around certain ones. So sometimes you just don't see a map that's optimal for the auto shotgun. but when you do, it can be devastating. The amount of times I've seen, 3Ks, 4Ks, and even aces with the auto has been pretty high.
Yeah, and we did also get some maps that were pretty close range to really leverage that shotgun. Obviously, not so much the auto shotgun because people were struggling with that, but those normal shotguns, as you said, with those one shots. But kind of coming full circle back round more to these teams, both of them in the 7th, 8th place. They're really duking it out for position, not just pride here. And that tie only serves to further illustrate how darn close these teams are. How do you feel after how that first game went? Do you change your predictions? Who do you think is going to still win this?
I mean, I still really want to root for SPG, but after seeing that game, it is definitely anyone's game. It could really go Flogels, it could go SPG. It just depends which team is able to come out of that last match with the information on how the other one plays and aren't just mad that they tied instead of won.
I mean, if you're talking about information on how the other team plays, you got to look over towards SPG. They kind of have this idea of being very responsive, playing the game in a very tactical manner. They should have a lot of ways to kind of read on how Flogel should do, but at the same time, they themselves are more stuck in their ways. So they kind of got this double-edged sword of being able to respond to a lot of people, but at the same time, having a very easily respondable to strategy of their own. Interested to see whether Flogel are going to be able to properly capitalize on that. As you can see, we're going into game for map 1 here.
Yeah, for sure. We're coming in on our first map, which is a kill house, Operation Absolute Ghost. Now, this is a vault map. Vault maps are different from your standard kill house, because normally in a kill house, the bomb is just in a room, and you go into the room, and you defuse the bomb. Now, on this one, there is a button. On this map, it's in Brick House, as we can see. You push that button, and it will open the vault door. As you can see on the map, it kind of has an arc that it swings at, and it will actually block off this line of sight here, which can be used on some other maps to completely cut off rotate routes. So it's a very interesting piece to work around and to plan around. Now, it looks like SPG wants to push South Hallway to take Brick House, take that button, and get Vault open, and they might even have a team going Garage so that they can just rush in and take button. At that point, you don't even have to have your button team survive or hold the button, because as long as you get one person in there and defuse, if the enemy closes it on you, that's actually good, because then they have to wait for it to close, and then they have to push it again and wait for it to open all the way to shoot you. And by that point, you could have had the bomb completely defused.
Yeah, obviously, you just want to go straight on for it. Playing that very split strategy makes a lot of sense here, as you say, for that exact reason. There are 2 objectives to really deal with. And, well, you can obviously take the long way around, take all of them. That leaves you sometimes very open, especially with some very rotate-heavy strategies that we have seen. And we can obviously see that SPG are on attack first, and if you leave yourselves open to Flogel, well, I think you kind of illustrated your point earlier that is going to go oh so badly if you are not careful. So while you're making that rotate towards maybe that switch to open things up, at the same time, you're going to have players hounding you from every single side. That's an early push, and already Kuko and Flogel just playing up close and personal, trying to put some shots down range and keep them back, maybe waste some time away from these attackers. So they're already pushing straight on through. Kuko still harassing from backstage here. Dagdog watching that angle as we start to see a committal more towards Office. Completely ceded control of Office. They don't want to go for that at all. You can see now the push comes on in. Dagdog very much ready for it. And just as they try to push on through, the south hallway is where a lot of this action is really taking place. Shots landing, but Six-Sided is the one who comes up trumps right now. You can see rest of the squad trying to hold go. Doesn't land a shot. A disaster for Flogel here, but Boss and Tiger Man looking to continue that pressure right now. You just can't contest on through this, and you still got to deal with the player waiting in North Hallway. Tiger Man all too happy to play that angle, and I like as well that we didn't see a full commit coming in from Kuko. He is still ready to play his game, knows that even if they take the switch, there's still a lot more to play with. Oh, that flash, those 2 flashes go full auto onto Tiger Man there, but they don't go down. It's Boss Jr. who falls, but at least trades 1-for-1 here. 2 versus 3. And they have control of the switch in just a second. They're going to be able to pop it, and now the execute comes. Six-Sided is already here. He's going to go straight on in. They have to rush on through here because they're going to instantly press that button and go right back on through. Tiger Man needs to make it happen, slips on in, takes down Six-Sided, but at the cost of their own life.
SPG's just going to be able to finish defusing that bomb real fast. They got plenty of time. Now, they have the ability to loot and take guns. They could very much come out of this better than they went into it. Although I will say it looked like the defenders were playing a very safe, very economical round here. We saw a lot of very low tier guns. We saw 2 knacks. We saw the Gruber was probably the highest tier gun, and we had 2 shotguns, which for this map, that is an okay loadout. This map is pretty close range, so you could get away with those, but you definitely could have had better options. We saw no KRs. We didn't see any power weapons. So it's reasonable to suggest that they weren't planning to win that round.
Yeah, maybe they read the map and went, oh, this is a bit of a pain for those defenders to play a lot more open areas, especially towards that front, that meant they couldn't really get ill too much. They tried to contest it for a while, but it wasn't exactly a place where they were going to have a lot of success. So Flogels more looking at these later rounds, hoping Factory and C-Store provide them with a little bit more cover and open position. But look at that. That could be a great place to bring things like the Morp. That is so wide open, right?
Yeah, no, this is wide open. If you get someone with a mop, you can lock down some of these angles. It really is the powerful weapon. I mean, that's why it's a power weapon. It's a mop. It is the only gun that can one-shot attackers at range. You can one-shot them with the shotguns up close, but that requires you to get close, which is a challenging thing, especially on a map like this. The mop, you can be across the map, and as long as you hit them in the head, that is a one-shot. Seeing lots of doodles coming out, not a lot of plans.
They've already got their strategy. They've got it down. They don't need more.
They don't need more. SPG is ready to just take that storage. I mean, they're going to be able to just push in. I mean, if they really wanted to, they do have the wall charge. And it is completely viable if they push through storage. They can wall charge there, which means avoiding the barbed wire that's already laid down over there.
It would be a nice way to try and play around it, because obviously that barbed wire could be such a thorn in their side.
Yeah, especially since the defenders are going to be setting up for that barbed wire. Although it looks like SPG is considering at least peeking the toxic window, or at least worrying about getting peeked from it, which is a very valid worry. A mop could easily take one medic, but they're probably gonna have someone stationed there. With a truck that close, it's reasonable to expect an attacker to expose themselves there, and if you can get just get one of them, that is a good trade. Barbed wires coming down. It looks like they're actually barbing more for the south. And they're not actually peeking the window whatsoever, at least not yet.
That's a surprise, honestly. From this squad, we really did expect that. Some nice barbed wire to try and deny any push towards Boss Jr., but for the most part, looks like it's going to be this north push, Ellie. How do you feel about the north push? Do you think they have the clacker ready to push on through? They don't have the clacker. They're going to have to push through this barbed wire you kind of mentioned earlier.
Yeah, no, I mean, they do have a frag, so they can get through the wire pretty easily if they want to dedicate the frag to that.
Okay. Dag Dog takes a lot of damage from that molly, but Tiger Man is that first to fall.
It looks like the frag did go out to clear the wire, and it did succeed in it, which means it's basically a free rush. All they have to do is flash, but they are starting to get low on flashbangs.
They absolutely are. Ghetto continuing to hold that position. Look at where Flogel is, waiting in the wings. Turned away, playing anti-flash. Sleep does not know they're there. There comes to play, but doesn't quite land. It's six-sided. Talked about this guy. One hell of a fragger. 3 kills to their name so far, and just 1 player left. I think Boss Jr. very sensibly trying to play these long angles, trying to not get caught out, doesn't want to hand over this weapon all too easily, getting sprayed out at every angle. Shelving, getting completely caught off guard, but still finding the frag. Just playing towards the back here. Finally falls, and a good round for the attackers. Very well played by SPG.
Yeah, no, Flogels really, they actually did have a pretty good defense set up for storage. They just weren't able to make use of it. Flogel waited maybe just a little too long to try and ambush one of the SPG players. I mean, it's always a gamble with a play like that, is when do I turn around? When do I reveal myself? Because if you do it too early, it's bad. If you do it too late, it's bad. It can go either way. So it is learning when to turn around and do it. I think SPG was very good. They expected that barbed wire. They had a frag for it. They cleared it. They knew what they were doing. The smoke was able to completely conceal them as they destroyed the barbed wire. And as soon as the smoke cleared, flashes went in, and they were just able to take bomb and put Boss Jr. on the offensive, which is a place you don't want to be on defense.
Yeah, this is not a good spot for them, frankly. And, well, as a defensive map goes, this isn't the worst.
No, it certainly isn't the worst. You can defend the bomb from at least 3 main angles, but even then, you can cut off one or two of those really easy. And SPG, they have a wall charge and they have a door charge left, which means they can blow two spots. They can blow storefront and arcade, which suddenly means this whole half of the map is theirs. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. It looks like they're already planning to do something with the storefront, or actually, it looks like they might plan to push arcade, wall charge into the north of storefront, and just push bomb. You know, looking at this map, I would even consider maybe wall charging there. I don't quite know if you can squeeze through that hole into tellers, but at minimum, it allows you to clear tellers and know that you can push from arcade and only have to worry about freezer, which you can block off with smokes and get the storefront control, which is really strong for the attackers, especially on a storefront like this, because there is no hard cover. The defenders really thrive in this hit and run, you know, ambush style gameplay, and when there's nothing for them to really hide around, it's a shooting gallery, and Argus is just able to walk in and wipe the floor with them. And we can see Flogels coming into the map, getting ready to set up their defense. It seems like they might even be planning to kick open the arcade red door and put a barbed wire in shed. This could completely hamper SPG's original plan, but it seems like they're now thinking about going bathroom and storefront, which is a really great pincer. It's a shame for Flogels that they don't seem to want to do their original plan.
Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about the shed push. Makes a little bit of sense to try and get something going there, but with that barbed wire there, they can look at that and go, oh, okay. Let's try and make this happen. Tipo Terran obviously playing there. They bait out the molly. That's a little bit of utility gone. I think at least turning up here is a good idea. That smoke to try and play something around. And Tipo Terran just pushes on in. Absolutely gun. Oh, wait. Sorry.
He's on the roof.
I got really confused there how they were running through walls. But frags come on out. Deus Ex Machina pushes in aggressively, but it's Dagdog who gets the refrag. Flogel doesn't find all too much. They've got a lot of arcade control here now. And Absi said this is a shooting gallery. That is where Ghetto is really going to have a lot of pressure here with the backup from Kuko. Six-sided. Looking for something here. Does manage to take down Ghetto and Sleep. Could just push on through here if Kuko tries to contest this. There it comes. Trying to look for that push. Dagdog baiting out some of these shots, but easily neutralizes Boss Jr. And there's another tries to push on in. Tiger Man ain't going to find anything either. Kuko does have control of Freezer, but is 1 versus 3. If they can find that shot, that might be important. But where do they play from now? Do they move over to bathroom? The bathroom push could be all important for them. They don't land their shot because Dagdog is on the job. And that is a complete clean sweep on the attack here from SPG.
I think Six-Sided really showed that round that the mop, when given to an attacker, is insanely powerful. As when on defense, it requires a headshot to one shot. When on attack, you can one-shot a defender, I think, anywhere but the hands and feet, which means he's able to use it as a close quarters, almost shotgun, and push into these close quarters, as he did in Freezer, and I assume brace fire at near point blank to just one-shot, and it is very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, walking around one-shotting people sounds pretty good, and being able to just get on through there. But now we do see the side swap come on through. Do you feel like for Flogel, this attacking side could be a bit of a respite for them?
This is where they really need to make their comeback. Flogel is strongest on attack. Now that said, I believe SPG is strongest on defense. So we're seeing both teams in their optimal environments, which means it could go either way. I think Flogels really needs to take at least 2 rounds to stay competitive. However, you know, if they get 1, I believe they could feasibly win. But if they lose all 3 again, that means SPG's at 6, and the best they can do is tie.
That would pretty much be all she wrote, frankly. And I mean, after such a close game 1, not what we were expecting at all.
Yeah, no, that wipe was very, very surprising. I don't know if Flogels just wasn't ready to defend on some of these maps. It looks like SPG is doing the opposite of what Flogels did. They seem to be going hard. I see 4 potential barbed wire spots. If they go hard on the economy here, it's a risk because it's the first round and that's a lot to lose early on. But if they are able to win from that, that is very strong. They get the momentum and they hurt the economy of the attackers. So it is a gamble, but I think doing heavy economy on this first round could really be the momentum of the meet. I mean, SPG already has the momentum. They have 3 rounds under their belt. They're 3 for 3 for this game. They've come in fresh from that last one. They are ready to win. I think we could see SPG take this first round and maybe this whole match.
Yeah, they've been in pretty impressive form and kind of this very tactical sort that we were talking about before, making really sensible calls and reading the kind of maps that we have coming up, what they're going to need there. I think they wouldn't make this call without knowing their kind of options in those coming maps. So great to see that from them. Well, for now, they don't put down too much in terms of barbed wire, just that one towards the front.
They do have 2 in reserve, though, so...
Yeah. Well, they're just going to win this round. They'll need it for the next one. So they're just looking to try and take the optimal position. Dagdog playing in backstage here with that long-range weapon, trying to play these longer angles, does find a bit of damage, but now almost gets caught off guard themselves. A lot of wallbang coming on through. 6-sided again is the one to find that first frag. So much pressure just from those wallbangs. Dagdog trades 1 for 1. But honestly, with these attackers seeding so many players, that's absolutely fine. There goes one of the barbed wires to deny that push into kitchen. Really like that they're ready to respond to these pushes from the attackers right now. You can see that Flogel are very much wondering, what do we do? They're trying to spray on through and finish off Deus Ex Machina, but no, it could be oh so difficult. Going to start to push on through. Ghetto trying to get that pre-fire, expecting maybe someone to be there. There's the door. It's kicked. There's the push. They back off. Deus Ex Machina does not want to get caught out. Tibor Taran is waiting in the wings as well if they push on through all too aggressively. You can see right now that Tibor Taran is just waiting there, knowing that the push has to come through. The barbed wire goes on down as well, and they do commit them. You were talking about these late barbed wires. It's so darn effective. Sleep is just going to be waiting here. The shots ring on through. They know they can't push that. Absolutely not. The HE comes through the molly onto Sleep. Bit of a mistake there, but they still find all the frags they darn well need. Ghetto is not going to be long for this world. Takes a bit of damage, but not enough there. Surprised it didn't take quite so much. And you can see Tibor Taran on that flank right now. Ghetto changing up their weapons, feeling like they need something a little bit new, but 6-sided just happy to hold that angle. Need to put that pressure on. There's Tibor Taran. There's the shotgun surprise. And Ghetto almost manages to bring it back, but not quite. They had Deus Ex Machina in reserve as well, ready to help. What a beautiful round from the defenders.
Yeah, we really saw SPG just able to delay. It was coming down to the wire. We saw, I think it was like 20 seconds on the clock when Ghetto went down. I don't think that even if all the defenders were dead at that point, he would have had enough time to push the button, run all the way back to the garage, and defuse. So it was basically written at that point, and just having Ghetto go down and them able to take the safe attackers is going to be huge. Because again, 6-sided is extremely scary with those precision weapons, and the Saber is powerful on defense. As you can, unlike the Mach, where you have to hold an angle, shoot, fall back, reload, shoot again, with the Saber, you can just keep clicking heads. You have more than enough ammo to wipe an entire attacking team.
Yeah, just go hog wild. No one's really going to stop you, so it should be a pretty easy round for you to pick on up. Now we're back towards, well, this very, very open position with a pretty standard set of barbed wires being drawn on the map.
Yeah, it looks like SPG is really worried about Flogels trying to do the same thing they did, and they should be. That is a strat that I think Flogels would do. They want to be fast, they want to be aggressive, and that is the fast and aggressive strat. Now, Flogels they have yet to use a charge, which means they have their wall charge. We could very possibly see them do the whole wall charge, basically the around the Maginot strat. Just go around the defenses. Yeah, and SPG will have to react to that, and it'll be interesting to see how or if they are able, if that gets pulled off. Although it seems like Flogels haven't really decided anything other than Storage Door is probably their best bet. That's the only thing they've put on the map, so it's looking like they're worried about it. They do seem to want to get they want to get some sort of utility into that pocket. I don't know if it's a frag to just try and destroy the barbed wire early or a smoke to protect them from that angle. Either way, they want to get something through the window into the pocket, and that's going to help them in the long run. Yeah, no, it looks like they might even be considering to go all the way south to get utility through the window into the bomb site, into where a lot of the defenders would be holding if they push storage.
I think that's a really good call, especially when we know that some of these teams are happy to have those more supportive players and ready to kind of play around that. So I like that they're ready to invest a player's time to put down an all-important piece of utility. If you get that lineup right, you can completely cut off some of those angles being held. But it looks like that might not exactly be what the strategy is right now. You can see the attackers getting ready to push, but no one's going for that smoke or anything of the sort. And even if they were, the defenders wouldn't be there.
You can see the charge has gone down on the storage. They're just waiting to clack. The flash went through the window just like they drew and forced Tiber and I believe Deus to fall back.
Yeah, really good play there. And the two players in office now kind of stuck. There comes the smoke from the more main position. That should be a good opportunity to push on forward as well. Kuko just goes right on up. It's already on the bomb. You need to see his rotate come on through quickly. Flogel playing really far around. They do stop. Six-sided does manage to find those shots. Always trust that man to land their bullets. But look at the flank. There it comes. Flogel is in position. And what do you even do now? Just going to sit on that bomb, trying to defuse it. Bait on the pressure, and six-sided does find the frag onto Ghetto, but trades their life for it. Good shot there from Boss Jr. And that'll be the round.
I know. Again, I think we see that strat is very strong. We've seen it won with 1 barbed wire. We've seen it won with 2 barbed wire. At that point, are you going to have to dedicate 3 or even 4 wire to just make that not a viable play? I mean, we definitely saw some interesting strats. We saw the flash through the window, which really forced the defenders to pull back before the attackers had even started making a push. Normally, when you throw a flash, you expose yourself slightly. But through the window, that was nothing. They were able to flash, have the attackers just push right on it, guns up, and they were able to really just take that pocket. And unfortunately for the defenders, the one Molotov they really had watching was kind of poorly thrown and didn't impede the attackers at all. Honestly, I think SPG had a really good plan. They just were not able to make good use of their utility like Flogels was, and they were not able to win the gunfights. I think if SPG is able to win this next round on C-Store, I think this is their game. However, you know, if Flogels can take it, I think they can turn it around.
Honestly, I think for your Flogels, you're so happy that you're not getting clean swept this half.
Yeah, that is definitely good. Getting that one round really does help with morale and momentum. You know, I think SPG is still high. They've got their 4 wins. They're ready to take this. But again, Flogels taking this next round, that's going to do a lot of good for them and probably going to hurt SPG morale a little. Now, coming in, it looks like the defenders are worried about bathroom. That's either the room that they're going to hold or that they're going to give up. And I think we really saw that last round with SPG when they were attacking. That was where the last of Flogels players were holding out. And it was a very strong room to hold because it's right onto bomb. Now, they weren't able to get the picks that they needed from it. But if SPG is able to do that, I think that's really powerful. And they might also be expecting Flogels, knowing this, to try and breach bathroom. Although it looks like Flogels is thinking about arcade. They want to do that same arcade to bomb with the wall charge strat. Or at least they were thinking about it. I want to see that. I think that would be cool. Double charges don't happen enough. And they are very powerful. You know, defenders, they want to put themselves in freezer. They want to use that angle. You know, we already have someone in there. If you put an Igmar or a Lagros in there, you can do some damage. I think that's probably what they have. It looks like they have a few long guns up, ready to shoot. You know, they've got a Gruber, they got a Lagros, they got KR. They even have Auto Shotgun playing in bathroom. King of the close range, ready to shred any of the attackers who try and push.
I mean, the problem for me is that T-Ball Terran has been struggling with this so far. Maybe they can finally make it work. But you can see, obviously, Flogel playing above. Very standard stuff. This time I will know that he's not just walking through walls. I'm glad I realized that one and got told as well. So, going to be an execute more from the front of stuff. Pretty standard, not surprising to see. Flogel's going to go on in. Molly going to come response. Flogel is already looking for players in office, trying to find someone out here. But we're just waiting, really, more than anything, for that play to come on through, for the Mollies to really just stop being there. Dagdog, can we write that Tika, man? just going to move on in with the rest of the team, just absolutely destroys some of these remaining guys. And now the rest of the defensive players are just sitting on the left-hand side. And Thibaut Taran is trying to rush on over to make some kind of impact. Has that auto shotty, but unfortunately, pushing through that position is never going to work out all too well for you. Deus Ex Machina doesn't find a thing either, as Flogel is just holding that position. And a good play from Flogel as a squad. Just really clean execute.
I mean, that was a really, really good round. SPG had completely written off Office as even getting pushed. They barely had anyone watching it, and they were just Flogel was just able to go in there with the wall charge, place it down, and take tellers, opening the tellers, just opening the entire storefront. They only had a peek hole down there, but it was enough to distract SPG. They all rotated. They even threw a Molotov at. That was wasted utility because they couldn't even push through it at the time. And then the storefront goes up. You know, they only had to dedicate one player to it, and they just took the entire storefront, and SPG was just out of options. They had nowhere to hide. They had no cover. They just got completely flashed and picked off one by one. There wasn't much they could do, and I think that really showed just how powerful Flogel's aggressive plays can be. It's still anyone's game. SPG probably still has the higher chance to win at this point in the game, but I think Flogels has brought himself back in. They really can come back from this. Now, we're interesting shot. We're on operation. Yeah. I don't know how that happened. You're not supposed to be able to shoot during planning. Interesting bug. Early access. Quite fun. We're on Operation Almighty Forge again. Or no, this is a new map. We've changed tabs. It's another vault map, though. So that's going to be fun to watch. And this one, this is a very defendable map. I have seen this one a few times. Because this hallway basically only has one entrance into it, it's effectively just a funnel of death. You barb for the hallway, you can just control it. You could just flat out let them have the button, and you can just hold that hallway with barbed wire and
just
having
give them a
down.
firing range where if they're pushing down, that's not going to work.
And then even better, if you do dedicate one or two people to club and around to do damage to try and hold them from button, not only do you gain time, but you gain damage. This is a very strong map to be playing defenders on. Attackers really need to dedicate a wall charge to get into hallway with any chance, and to have a chance of taking button, because that's what you need to do beforehand, you really need to use a door charge. So it is a very expensive map to play on attack. And it'll be interesting to see if Flogels knows this. They seem like they want to go for the office. And I think they probably want to split into hallway. But I'm guessing the hallway team is going to take heavy casualties, and it's gonna cause the stalling in the Flogels attacks that really hurts them.
Absolutely, it will. I think it's always a hard decision to make to invest this war charge earlier, but I think this is absolutely a map where you do it. Flogel pushes on through. No one actually contests. Some good spray through the wall there, but doesn't actually find any of its mark. Dagdog just putting shots after shot after shot down range, but it's still Sleep holding in this hallway position. Not a lot invested here to try and hold that, but it could still be ever so difficult to flush them out. So many shots going through the wall, and a lot of low health members. Kuko just pushes on through, up the little stairs, and Six-Sided pushes forward aggressively, realizes his mistake as Ghetto naturally just executes him for that mistake. The molly, not in the right place at all, and that is a disaster for the defending side. They didn't find what they needed to at all. And Deus Ex finishes off Sleep as well. Big mistakes being made. Finally, they get some success on the board, but at the cost of two players there. Dagdog now versus the remaining four players, trying to beat something fierce, but Tiger Man will take him down with a good spray on through. And that'll be the round from the attackers. They're going to be able to change up their weapons a little bit, but for the most part, that was just a really nice execute.
Yeah, no, I think the defenders made a little bit of a misplay, dedicated a little too many people to club without dedicating enough barbed wire for it. They probably should have had a few more people in hallway, and it is really unfortunate that the shots just lined up, that Deus was able to wallbang Sleep, and I think that was probably one of the biggest critical mistake we saw. Now, I think SPG can recover from this, but it's not the best. It looks like they may have just locked themselves out of the vault, but they've got plenty of time to defuse, so it shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, they're able to go in. That could have been a nasty mistake if they had done that without someone to call it out immediately. You got to be careful. You don't want to lose rounds to stupid stuff like that.
You really don't. I think they were mostly just delaying for time so they could have some issues resolved, as you can probably see on screen right now, everyone, in large letters.
Yes.
But I think, yeah, really strong play from them in general anyway. So, you know what? They deserve it. Now, going on into this next round as well, we were kind of talking about, you really need to invest these wall charges, something along those lines here. And obviously, we didn't see any of that. We didn't see any sort of wall charge invested. That means they've got a hell of a lot ready for this next round in terms of utility.
Oh yeah, no, they still have a door charge left. They still, I believe they recovered their clacker, so they still have both clackers, and they have a wall charge. That's a lot. Now, I think the defender economy is still doing pretty well. I don't think they lost too much in terms of value that round. They could have done better, but I think they still have a lot of their heavy hitters. And that's going to be really important. They want their mop. They want their Igmars for this map. This is going to be key. Now, we're already seeing barbs for green. That's definitely something to worry about because it is a pretty easy push to office, but I don't think you want to dedicate that much to it because we do know that Flogels has 2 charges left. They're more than likely to push docks or even fan. We could probably see a split push here from green. That is something to worry about, especially because these reds are very easy to hold from the office. There's a lot of places you can hide and just get nasty angles on it. And again, if Flogels get stalled, like in this back corner or, you know, up on these catwalks, it's a shooting gallery. And as long as SPG can hit their shots, I think it'll go to them. Now, SPG hasn't been doing too great. They've lost a lot of their momentum. We could see tie game here, or we could see 5-3. I don't know which way it's going to go. It seems like Flogels really wants to push the dock, which it can be pretty strong, and I don't think SPG's really setting up a defense for it. They're aware of the possibility. They've marked the possibility, but they haven't planned any barb for it. They could be saving barbed wire for the C-store, because that's even harder to hold, especially the storefront. If you dedicate a lot of barb, you can sometimes hold those. Yeah, we're coming in. It seems like we're going to see a lot of SPG playing in and around office. So that's why they really want to cover their back there, although I think we're really going to see a full dedicated push from Flogels through docks into shelving, and if SPG isn't able to land their shots from office, it could be bad.
Really could be. You see right now that a lot of them heading towards this dock. But yeah, that office has such an overwatch of many of the positions you really want to push on through here. I am interested to see whether they're going to push anywhere else as well. I feel like just pushing through dock here has to be a mistake, right? It's just so open.
Yeah, no, it is definitely open, but they are able to just kind of explode out of it, which can be really powerful for the attackers, because the defenders really want more than one gun on each target, and if the attackers are spread out, that becomes even harder to do.
Yeah, Local finds that first frag. Sleep doesn't stand there for very long. Easy to take them out, and look how deep you see that Tiger Man is just pushing. Flogel continues to find frags with that SMG. Easy pickings for them. Six-sided continues to try and play some of these longer angles. Fantastic with those longer weapons, but that is a HE and a half. Big play from Ghetto there, able to find that frag, and they clean that one up in hella short order. Really well played by Flogel.
Yeah, no, I think Flogels, I mean, aside from that really nice grenade, that was a beautiful grenade. Watching that from map view, it hurt to just watch that team just get removed. They probably thought it was a flashbang. But even then, they didn't react to it, and it just went off. We can see Flogels going in, finding the late barbs that never were, getting some trophy barbed wire for themselves.
It's for the post-plant.
Yeah. No, Flogels was really able to just take advantage of the fact that it was so open, and they could single out these attackers. As long as they just stayed out of office line of sight, they were able to take out Dag, they were able to take out Sleep. And that pretty much just left it to the crew in office, who really were kind of stuck. They weren't able to do it by themselves, and the attackers knew exactly where they'd be shooting from. That is a pretty hard map to defend unless you're really holding a lot of off angles in shelving.
It is, and we're going to. Well, oh, I'm waiting. I thought I was loading in. I was going to talk about the map, but haven't got that up. Now we finally do. Obviously, C-Store coming on through. Haven't seen this yet. It sometimes can be a little difficult to play. It can be a little bit wide open, but we have a very weirdly shaped C-store this time, don't we? Like,
This gives
what
a
is going
lot of
on?
opportunity.
This storefront's just way out in the front.
Yeah, it's almost a like lightning bolt shape, say, that goes in a Tetris piece, if you will. And you could really put a lot of your defenders up in this top area where you have that heavy cover and use that to shoot down into bomb. You can kind of rotate through freezer if you have that top control and just shoot the bomb in the side. So there's a lot of ways you can defend the bomb. Now Flogels is already ready to just breach into that storefront and just try and get up in there. Now, we can see SPGs planning an arcade peak. I don't know if it's going to go well for them, especially because I don't think any of Flogels are going to go up there. SPG is planning to use a lot of barbed wire to protect the bomb. They're effectively going to sever the storefront into 2 sections and just let the attackers have the bottom one. They're probably going to try and stall them there with Molotovs and shooting. Now, whether that'll go well or not has been yet to be seen. It seems like Flogels is really able to win these gunfights, especially something open like this. So I think this might go for Flogels, but SPG could pull it out. They could get the ambushes through freezer. They could hold tellers. You know, there is a very nasty peek through tellers with the peek hole. So that could be used to great effect. It's just going to be SPG's placement and how they're able to win, what picks they're able to get in the early part of the gunfight. If they can stall Flogels, this could go for them, and it could start looking good for them. They could start getting that momentum back. But if they lose this, then they're going into the next set. They're going to be on attack now. Oh, was that closing or open the shutters? They have opened the shutters.
Okay, they closed the shutters again, I think.
But that did cause Flogels to pause for a second. That gained them some time.
You know, if we're talking about edge case strategies, I think they should have brought the barbed wire here, taken control of freezer, and just barbed off freezer storage door, and then just played from freezer on into the site here. I think that would have actually been really interesting. And I think looking for a freezer push here as a whole could be all important. And that's why 6-sided, one of those key members of the squad, is actually the one holding that door, because we know how important it could be. No execute there at all. In fact, they are just going straight on into this, and Molly finds a decent bit of damage. So darn low is Boss Jr. And Flogel, he doesn't care how low any of his team are. He's just going for it. Oh, Boss Jr. helps him out as well. Flogel up and in this position, gonna open up all of it. There go the shutters. There goes Dagdog. And now 6-sided trying to play from freezer for their life right now, and Tiger Man just pushes on through. This was a disaster, frankly, for the defensive side, as it all just fell apart instantly, and Flogel just got to go, well, wherever they damn well wanted. Roaming on through. Tibor Taran does manage to find a 2K. If Gettl can take him out, that'll be big, but it's just this last player. There it comes. Tiger Man finishes him off, and a very solid round from the attack.
Finally, we can see Tiber able to pull off something with the auto shotgun, and it almost was enough, but then we had Taiga on the flank, and he just wasn't ready to have that happen. I mean, you just gotta be full 360 spatial awareness at all time. And, you know, that was fast. There wasn't much he could really do to react to it, but it was definitely something he should have been ready for. He saw there was only one attacker in storefront. He must have known that the other was somewhere else on the map, and he should have been ready for that. I don't even the door to tellers behind him. If he had done that, that would have forced Tiger Man to kick, giving him the audio warning and the time to react. But I don't think he did that. Coming in, it's 4-5 for Flogels. SPG has to play a perfect game from this point. Now, we saw them do that in the first half. They were able to win all of their attacking rounds. And you know what? Maybe they've just gotten bad maps, and those are just really easy to attack. So we could really see SPG come and play. Now, again, I think this map is pretty easy to defend. I'm surprised that SPG was unable to defend this map. Seems like SPG is prepping, or at least worried about a bunch of barbed wire on club, and they want to use their wall charge to get into hallway. Or at least they're considering it. It seems like Flogels just wants to turn that hallway into death. They want to use 3 barbed wire right in that core, or at least a considerable amount. And if SPG does go with the wall charge strat, that gets it around. They're in there. There's nothing they can do. They're going to catch all the defenders sitting at the bottom and the top of that hallway off guard, and they're going to go around the barbed wire. I think we could really expect to see that. It looks like they want to do the kitchen, club, wall charge strategy. There is going to be barbed wire in their way from kitchen to club. Actually, they might be looking to shotgun open the kitchen red door from Brick House, which means they're only going to use a wall charge this round, saving the economy for the next, which is critical because, again, in order to win, they need to win the next 3 rounds. The whole set needs to go to them. So they're really having to think about the future. They're planning 2 games ahead. I mean, a lot of times when you play defense, a good IGL will also be planning attack for the next round.
Yeah, you have to be obviously reading a lot of what's going on the map and making that call. And, well, we've seen some good reads so far on what they're planning to bring, how they're planning to look in the future and actually have that kind of, obviously, awareness as they're moving on into these rounds. I like what they're doing here. I like that they're not committing all too much. They can take green. Obviously, they don't know if anyone's on the other side, but if they just take kitchen, that's an easy way to open up that door and continue to spread the amount of map control they have. The attackers not getting contested a lot early, but happy to very much capitalize off of this.
Seems like they've gotten that red door open with the shotgun, and they've established that kitchen is clear. They're taking some wallbang fire, though.
Look at where Flogel is, waiting in the vault, just for action to happen in that position with the auto shot. You love to see it, and I mean, that's exactly what you want from this auto shotty. Catch players off guard, spray him down at the moment they least want it to happen. T-Ball Tarrant is already in this position. They haven't opened up the vault. They do realize they have to do that right now.
No, instead of wall charging from club into hallway, they're wall charging from hallway into club.
Oh, that's a huge brain right there. They're going to push right on through. And with that flash as well, trying to lead on in, but they don't get the flash in the right place. The second one will have to suffice, but Ghetto still makes the play. And with that molly, they are sent a packing 4 versus 5, and they still haven't managed to flush out a single one of these. Ghetto continues to hold the angle. He finishes off Deus Ex Machina for good measure. T-Ball Tarrant and Sleep do manage to take them down as they're holding the angles, but they're getting sprayed to high heaven right now. Great plays coming on through, back and forth. Finally, T-Ball Tarrant finds that frag, but you can see Boss
Tiber
Jr.
just unleashes the beast on his team. Oh, and it goes down immediately.
Flogel trying to play a little bit too passive. It's too aggressive in that position. Wanted to play that a little bit more passive. There comes the spray. Can he get it?
And
no, he
down.
doesn't. Tries their hardest, but Sleep absolutely on a tear. 4K for that player in this round, and absolutely made it work.
Beautiful round from SPG, not only outthinking their opponents, but outthinking me, and I saw the lines they were drawing. That was very smart. They didn't have to dedicate anything but the wall charge, and they were able to take club. Club is really easy to hold because of all that cover and the barbed wire they had there. But by using the wall charge, they were able to come from another entrance that they just couldn't defend for. Now they took a lot of losses doing it, but it ended up being worthwhile, and I think they're going to come out of this very strong. And then they got the auto shotgun out of that. Auto shotgun, who had only fired maybe 1 or 2 rounds before he was dropped, if that.
Yeah, this is a good position for them to be in. They've got a lot of weaponry, a lot of utility, and this could be easy for them to close on out. 2 more maps left in this game. Yeah. Will it be a draw? Well, right now the score seems to dictate it to be so, but one of these teams full sweeps this, we could see a win on the cards. Yeah. But again, these guys have just been going tit for tat, right?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, really on this round is going to determine who isn't losing. Who isn't losing? That's all this round's going to determine. And then the next round will determine whether we're going to see a win or a tie. Already, SPG has identified that Office is very powerful, but does have limited sight lines. You know, we have that dock in the south. That dock is a very powerful spot to watch. You can open these trucks and hide within them, which can completely catch teams off guard. If you have some trigger discipline and let a team push through dock and get up by bomb, and then you start shooting them, you just shoot them in the back. They don't have time to react. You know, Flogels seems to be looking more at the western part of the map. They want to put Barb in storage and on office and on servers. And I think SPG just wants to do what Flogels did, which is basically come in through dock, smoke off their entrance, spread out, and just shoot a bunch of defenders. And I mean, I want to see them pull this off. I think that they can. They really got to come in and just pick them off one by one. But if Flogels is just able to react and push them, it could catch them off guard and put them in a really bad position.
Yeah, and if anyone's going to catch you off guard and push you, it certainly is Flogels. So you have to be a little bit worried for that push and how it's going to work out. But obviously, we've seen a lot of success from both sides. Both of them have been on top fragging form so far today, and I think as you kind of mentioned before, the mechanics is going to be really what decides it here, I feel.
We do see a barbed wire on docks. We might see Flogel try and place that barbed wire on the door, maybe even sacrificing his own life after they breach it. So we're going to have to see SPG make a great push here, or otherwise they're going to get locked out.
Well, they could like molly off behind it and then try and go straight forward. Flogel just absolutely ganning for it. Manages to get it down just barely in time. What a speedy guy, managing to just rush on in there and get that down. With the molly as well to follow up straight away, they were ready for it. Really well played by the entirety of the Flogel squad right now. And, well, this is going to make this a lot harder to push for the attacking side.
You know, we've seen some damage exchange going in. Honestly, I think Flogels have come out on the better end of these damage exchange. There's more SPG members who are hurt, and they're hurt a little more.
You can see them rotating over towards green now. They're very much expecting that dock is just not going to work out anymore. They wanted to try and finish things out, but it just wasn't happening. SMGs sneak on into the backside of Office here. I wonder whether Boss Jr. is going to actually be ready for this. Oh, Tiger Man getting the read, knowing the push was coming. Great call from the IGL as well for that rotate to come on through. That leaves them in a difficult situation. Flogel just shuts down too as they try to push on in. You can't push through there. That's not only a molly, but it's also going to be in that position with the barbed wire. Sure, you find 2. You take down the Office player. You still got 3 players to really dispatch, and you're at player disadvantage. Easy stuff for Flogel. They just absolutely feeling themselves right now. And even with these flashes, what does Dagdog really do? It's such
he's
a
running the
situation.
clock down. He's got to act fast, or he's got to just be content with what he's got. And I think he's choosing to save the 2 flashbangs.
I mean, this is definitely the play. I don't think you're going to be able to win this out. You're playing for draw now. You know you got to win that next round, and having those 2 extra flashes might just be all you've done well needed. And also, obviously, the weapon, which could be ever so helpful. But look at who's there. Oh, they find Kuko as well. But that's, well, all you're going to be able to get out of it.
No, I mean, denying the enemy equipment at that point is almost as powerful as keeping your own. You know, 2 flashbangs is a lot, but he didn't have much other than that. And taking a Lagros out of their stockpile, while it isn't the hugest hit, can definitely hurt the team, especially, you know, we're coming in. We're on a pretty long-range C-store, and especially for C-store, all of those walls are considered very thick, which means the Lagros, the Mop, and the Saber are the only guns you're going to see wallbangs with, and you just lost one of your only tools that you can wallbang with. So while it's not the biggest thing, it certainly could have an impact.
Yeah, absolutely could. And the Lagros, always a very strong weapon in its own right. We see a lot of guys running around with it, so not a huge surprise. Excited to see how this final map's really going to go down, because obviously we saw Storefront get completely torn apart in more ways than one, because obviously we saw those barbed wires go down to try and cut it in half, but then we also saw massive aggression from Flogel. Do you think that we're going to see a very similar setup now?
I mean, yeah, I think immediately they circled the door that I would have made the call if I was in their position. They have 1 door charge left, and I think Freezer is the play. Now, it looks like Flogels is ready to barb off that Freezer. But the thing is, you don't have to go through the Freezer windows. You can just control Freezer through it. Or you can control Storefront through it for the most part, using those angles. And then you can send a team up through storage into Arcade, especially if you have someone waiting at Arcade watching that window, and you can come around and take tellers. You know, it is a very big roundabout strat, but you could do it. Or you could even just clear Storefront and push through that wire. You know, it would be interesting to see what SPG does, but it looks like they're planning to hit Freezer and have a team ready at Arcade. You know, it's going to be split push. It's going to leave anyone playing storage caught way off guard. Although Flogels does seem to be really expecting the Freezer, or at least they are considering putting 3 barbs on there. They seem to have walked it back, and they want that extra barb on Bathroom just in case they happen to go to a place they're not expecting. Now, while Flogels is expecting to play at Freezer, the barbed wire doesn't have me that excited for it. I don't think that this is the hold. They really have to show their positioning skills and their weapon choice skills here, I think, and just to lock down those windows. Otherwise, I think SPG still has a pretty good chance of holding it. Or taking it, not holding it.
Yeah, I mean, SPG, they can burst into sewers, and it doesn't really matter whether the barbed wire is there or not. It isn't. Okay, it has gone down. I couldn't quite see over all the drawings on the map, but I think Ghetto is going to be the one who's really going to make the difference here. As you said, the weapon skills is really going to be the thing that determines it. And alongside that, Kuko ready to play the angle as well. The Black comes on through, instantly pushing. Sleep gets up and aggressive. They push on through absolutely everywhere. Ghetto is completely destroyed. Look at where Flogel is. Molly goes on through, completely catches six-sided, but Dagdog ready to play for that position, ready to refrag as well. Kuko in the south of this storefront is going to be a key position. Whether he gives away his location here, finds the first, needs to look for that little bit more, but Sleep just comes around the corner, sprays him down. HE comes on through. They're going to be able to push on into the bomb and into storefront. They've got the auto shotty, and well, they're looking to wreak havoc. Deus Ex Machina just knows as soon as you try and contest that, he's going to unload everything on you. Trying to bait the bomb. They are now. Dagdog wins the frag, and now Tiger Man, the only remaining player, up close and personal, takes down the auto shotty there. And a Molly. Dagdog takes themselves out. Bit of a mistake there. This means now it's Sleep versus 1. Can Tiger Man get in position in time? Just making that full rotate around this position. Knows where they are, catches sight of them. Not a lot of time left on the bomb. They don't have a lot to work with. Tiger Man knows that they're gonna have to go for this. Sleep just playing around, knowing with 40 seconds, he can just get incremental advantage. 66, it's ticking on up. Tiger Man has to make the play, but it's not enough. Tie for tie comes on in here. 6-6 and 6-6 will lead us to, well, an absolute dead heat, as I mentioned before.
That was a very fun game to watch. I mean, coming down, we saw some very critical mistakes. We saw Dagdog Molotov themselves, very unfortunately, in those freezer shelves. That almost cost them the game, but in the end, they were able to get that tie. And wow, that was a close game. I think both teams played their heart out. Very good rounds from both sides. I think these two teams, I mean, this is why they are right next to each other in the standings. They are very comparable teams. It'll be interesting to see how this affects their standings, as you know, they really did take the brunt of the early games. They did have to play a lot of the really challenging competitors, and I think for a lot of them, it's only going to be easier from this point forward. So it's going to be interesting to see where they end up in the standings. Considering they tied, I'm not ready to make a prediction as to whether either of these teams are going to make it into the finals.
Well, I gotta believe in my European boys at the very least. That's the way I'm gonna kind of approach this situation. I believe Flogel can make it. SPG looked very strong, but I think that X factor that Team Flogel might have, that aggression, can really bring them on through.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot of the other teams. I think the aggression that Flogel shows can really throw them off, especially since they tend to be very aggressive. SPG can be methodical and check their corners. Now, Flogel's managed to find the corners they didn't check consistently, actually, especially on that last round. He hid for a lot longer than I expected him to. But SPG does check their corners and hold their flanks a lot better than a lot of other teams. So if this is what Flogels is able to do against a team who's ready to counter them, I think it's going to be interesting to see what Flogels can do against a team that's not. And if SPG is able to do it against Flogels, they can maybe do this against some of the other teams like Momentum.
Yeah, it would definitely be really exciting to see them pull it off against some of those other teams. And, well, it was a great showing today. Even though it was a draw, we didn't get any decisive decision come on through. But we did have a good series, as you said, back and forth, and a great way to wrap things up. Don't forget, everyone, that tomorrow at, well, 1300 EST and 1500 EST, we have Team Momentum versus Fierce as that first matchup, and SH Esports versus Hyper in that second matchup. You don't want to miss it. It's sure to be a absolute corker of a day. So absolutely tune in tomorrow. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and good night.
Girl in my room, never got a prickle in my skin. I can play a violin, sing a serenade. Wow, summon flowers from my sleep. So caught up in your smell. Down to whatever you say. Girl, I know we just met to make me speak one say.
Salut. Oui. Je t'aime. Très bien.
You're not just a cute girl, don't get me wrong. I love your face. You're a bit feel I could do whatever I want. No fear, no harm when I stare at the sun. I've been so numb, what with you on my love. My will so strong, only limits the sky. I've been a nice day, I've been like no way. But now, every day, you make me speak Francais.